guys. Hello. Garden Variety Errands. Fletch number 1. Howard. Hello, Christy. All right. Moderator. Yes. Massages are necessary. Jonathan has probably maximum unpredictability in his life. With a big family, dogs, and all of that stuff, and that's good stuff. When you see people who have absolutely rock-solid predictability, either they have not much going on in their life, and they're dedicating their life's energy to what it is they're doing, which is great, or they have a staff and a bigger support structure than they suggest, which is also fine, but it's unfortunate that most people don't see it because it creates an illusion. A couple videos, I reposted a couple videos. One I had to rip from a DVD that I purchased, and another one I was surprisingly able to find a full copy of it on YouTube. Made by directed by a Peter Curran. Yes or no's in the chat if you've ever heard of Peter Curran before. Now, our son was named Curran, Curran, as a first name. And this is Peter Curran, Kuran, as a last name. The first movie that I posted was Trinity and Beyond, the atomic bomb movie, which was in 1995, directed by Peter Curran. Of course, you've heard of the narrator, William Shatner, Star Trek, and just a cultural icon in his own right. And the other one was Nuclear 911. Nuclear 911, and then the subtitle is Broken Arrows and Incidents. The date that Nuclear 911 was made available was in June of 2001. IMDb also has it listed as January 2001, although sometimes when you see things listed as January 1st, 2001, that's a default because many databases, for example, maybe for movie releases, sometimes they only really allow the capture of the year. So if someone needs to print out the full date, it just defaults to January 1st. It doesn't actually mean it was released on January 1st of that year. It's just an absence of more specific data. But there is another database somewhere which suggests it was mid-June. So June of 2001, another documentary was released. It's a little bit shorter than typical film length. It's 57 minutes long, but it's also directed by Peter Curran. Again, Kuran. I've never heard the name Peter Curran before. I think many people haven't. Peter Curran doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Peter Curran is a well-established person in Hollywood in the field of video effects, special effects. And one of the biographies that I was able to find for Peter Curran was that at age 19, he did some work on Star Wars. Matter of fact, Peter Curran has been involved in 300 Hollywood movies in various capacities as a special effects artist. Ghostbusters, RoboCop, Star Wars, Starship Troopers, and you can assume hundreds of others movies. So Star Wars was late 1970s, and he got into the favor of Lucas and Steven Spielberg. And at some point, because of his art, because of his practice, his skill involved in video special effects, Peter Curran was also recruited into providing subject matter expertise on restoring old videos. And you can probably see where this is going. Peter Curran is, he's not with the United States Defense Department. I don't think he has a security contract, but Peter Curran plays a big role in restoring old movies. And what that's going to mean specifically, because if there's any old movies that are worth anything in terms of an unlimited budget and modernizing and keeping clean, it's going to be the movies relating to atomic weapons and atomic weapon testing. I'm pretty sure everyone here saw that one coming. And I don't know if it was a childhood fantasy of his or how it came to be, but Peter Curran then went on to direct 7 documentaries, all about nukes. The first one was in 1995, which I've shared, Trinity and Beyond, the atomic bomb movie, which had a special version where you could wear the 3D glasses. And Nuclear 911, Nuclear Rescue 911, Broken Arrows and Incidents. And I mean, I ask you, come on. A movie called Nuclear Rescue 911 that is released in 2001, actually like 10 weeks before September 11th, 2001. For real? For real. Nobody I can't possibly be the first person to notice this. Now, it must be something. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Good to have you here. Hello, Saturday to all of you. Can you believe that? I can't possibly be the first person to notice this and have a raised eyebrow like, are you kidding me? A movie called Nuclear Rescue 911. It's a extended documentary, 57 minutes, by this pretty well-established special effects artist who goes all the way back to Lucas, Spielberg, and Star Wars, who also did the Trinity and Beyond movie. Nuclear Rescue 911, Broken Arrows and Incidents, released June of 2001. For real? Oh, you're at the hospital again. I'm sorry, Jeff. I noticed someone else in the chat said that, not in the chat here, but on PayPal. You know who you are. You provide a monthly payment on PayPal. Thank you so much. I got your message, and I'm glad that you're feeling a little bit better. I noticed you've been quieter lately, which I would understand. But I do miss your letters. But anyways, I'm glad that you are recovering, and I'm glad that you're here, Jeff. But it looks like you're at the hospital again. What is it with you guys? We're supposed to be a healthy group. Just teasing you. It's got to rub it in a little bit. Anyways, I know there must be something about the movie, because if you go to newspapers.com and if you search for it, I've searched for it, and I can't find any reference to the movie. However, if you go to eBay, you can find copies of the DVD that are stamped 2001, and the IMDb database is populated, which could be, of course, updated after the fact. But at this point, I'm going to lean with it being proper data. So we have a 9/11 movie titled Nuclear Rescue 911 that comes out 10 weeks before September 11th, 2001. Now, the subtitle, Broken Arrows and Incidents. A broken arrow is a accident involving a nuclear weapon. I didn't know that until I watched this movie. Maybe I was always supposed to know that, but I didn't. And I am always encouraging you, if you don't know something, say you don't know it. Who cares? You never be such a smarty pants that you feel uncomfortable telling people that you don't know something. Because first of all, it shows authenticity. And it also shows that, I don't know, it shows that you're still in a learning. You should always be in that learning state. I didn't know broken arrow meant a failed nuclear or a mistake or an accident involving a nuclear weapon. And the movie is about these accidents. It's about, how would you say, planes carrying atomic weapons, which had accidents, went into the sea, hit a mountain, materials which have gone missing, and so on and so forth. I've watched it once. I fell asleep through it because I put it on late at night knowing it would help me get to sleep. But I will rewatch the last 30 minutes of it today. But from what I was able to capture, it was setting up scenarios where, yeah, there have been accidents, and there have been nuclear weapons and materials involving nuclear weapons which have gone unaccounted for. I don't know. I'm throwing this out there, okay? This movie does, whether it was their intention or not, okay, you could watch this movie and leave thinking, there's an opportunity out there because of all of these nuclear weapons which have fell into the ocean and gone missing and didn't detonate and whatever, for materials and technologies to have fallen into the wrong hands and then be used for something else. Maybe the bad people who wish to do us harm because they're just all up all night pouting about our freedoms. Just so many freedoms. Maybe that's it. It opens up that possibility. And this is something which was talked about pretty extensively in the late 1990s and year 2000 and 2001, and even reiterated on September 10th, 2001 by then Senator and head of the Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee, Joe Biden, future President Joe Biden, that terrorists, if they were to attack, they would not use all of the complexity and cost of a intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, but instead they would just carry it over the border in a backpack or use a steamship, an old rusty steamship, have it come up a river, etc. That would be the smartest way to get a small, tactile nuclear weapon into the United States and then hurt a lot of people. Now, the movie puts out that, doesn't say that word specifically, small device, suitcase nuke, etc., but it does. If you were to watch this movie and then listen to the Joe Biden speech, you could put two and two together, okay? So maybe this movie was about seeding a narrative, and maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure, but it sure is odd. And why can't I find references to it? If I search for nuclear rescue in double quotes in U.S. newspapers, I should find a reference to it. Saying so-and-so, Peter Kern just re-released this movie or just released this documentary with some never-before-seen, recently declassified footage, but it's not out there. And when I don't find something out there that I know was out there, someone must have written about this in at least one U.S. newspaper during the year 2001. That means it's being, there's some sort of selective, intentional soft censorship ongoing, which means there is something to it. So this led me to do something that I haven't searched for specifically yet, and that is to start searching for small nuclear devices and suitcase nukes, as far, not in reality, but the use of the phrase in U.S. media throughout the year 2000, 2001. I know there's been mention of it. I don't know. I know there's been a fairly frequent reference to it, but I want to see where it bubbled up in U.S. newspapers. When, where, how often, and who said it the most. And if it doesn't show up at all, again, that's metadata, because I know it was said. There's no way people are talking about it and it still survives in C-SPAN audio from September 10th, 2001. But if I search for it in a U.S. newspaper and don't find anything, that means, again, intentional, currently at work, currently turned on soft censorship. So in the process, I found, several articles, enough also, but not enough to make me think, or I should say, so few that it's clear that there's some sort of censorship ongoing. But I did find one article here that was just wild. Okay, now, this is January 16th, 2000. January 16th, 2000. This is, 1 year and 8 months before September 11th, 2001. The elections for president and for senators and so on are occurring in November of this year. So it's another approximately 10 months before the elections. And we know it's going to be Bush versus Hillary Clinton, right? I think the primaries are all done. I'm pretty sure primaries are all done. So let us look at, I'm just going to shrink down a little bit here. And this is the article I'm going to focus on for this episode here. Again, January 16th, 2000. Candidate Donald. No, not the duck. We're talking about Trump. So I guess at this time, Trump was still a potential candidate. I knew he ran in 2004. I didn't know he ran in the year 2000, though. So let's read this article about candidate Donald Trump. All right. And this was written by a Rick Malwitz, staff writer at the Central New Jersey Home News. And it reads as follows. You know about all the babes, the apartments with peach tone marble lobbies, the casinos, and the presidency? In the first paragraph of The America We Deserve, Donald J. Trump cuts to the chase and allows that, yes, he is thinking of running for president of the United States. But mind you, it has nothing to do with vanity, which would, of course, be so on Donald. Assume he will run. Jesse Ventura, the only Reform Party member to hold a significant elected position, has dismissed Pat Buchanan and embraced Trump. This easy-to-read book is a primer of Trump politics. Wow. Keep in mind, Jesse Ventura was also author of a book where the president was assassinated and RFK Jr. was the vice president, and the assassination somehow allowed RFK Jr. to become president. And Jesse Ventura is tied in with the whole fleet of books from Skyhorse Publishing, which, of course, is now associated with many of the efforts of Steve Bannon and, more notably, Children's Health Defense. But here, assume he will run. Jesse Ventura, the only Reform Party member to hold a significant election position, has dismissed Pat Buchanan and embraced Trump. I didn't know Jesse Ventura embraced Trump in 2000. This easy-to-read book is a primer of Trump politics. Wow. Maybe I should read it. Many of his positions fit in with the right wing of the modern Republican Party. I will tell you, I am very surprised to read this article before September 11th, 2001. I did not think that Trump ever was considered by anyone as being Republican-ish before September 11th. Let's get back. Many of his positions fit in with the right wing of the modern Republican Party. Though he is pro-choice on the abortion issue, he changed his opinion about partial abortion when the procedure was explained to him by two physicians. He now opposes them. He is now also pro-choice when it comes to public schooling. If Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Donald Trump himself can send their children to private schools because they can afford it and it provides superior schooling, the masses should be able to do the same. He is tough on crime, advocating stiffer prison sentencing. He favors the death penalty. He is nervous about nuclear disarmament, fearing no one will obey it but us. Gets better. For the same reason, he opposes gun control. When weapons are banned, only the outlaws will have them. Well, that's a nice thing to say. The recent president he is most fond of is Ronald Reagan. He loves Rudy Giuliani and absolutely adores Jesse Ventura. The politician he loathes most is Bill Bradley, author of the Tax Reform Act of 1986. He said he screwed up more banks than all the Jesse James and the Machine Gun Kellys who ever lived. To Trump, the greatest threat to the well-being of the United States is terrorism. Before 9/11. His Uncle John, an MIT professor, told of his fears of terrorists carrying suitcase bombs that could level much of Manhattan. Donald never forgot. So Donald Trump here, in this article here, and perhaps in the book, is afraid of the suitcase nuke. You know, the nuke that you never saw coming, the nuke that you can't protect yourself against with a missile shield because it's not going to come in an ICBM. It's not going to come in an intercontinental ballistic missile. Wow. And his Uncle John told him, the MIT professor, John Trump, of the suitcase nuke. Remember, Donald Trump worked at the MIT Radiation Lab, which is, I think, across the street from the current headquarters of Moderna. There's a headquarter in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not to be confused with Cambridge, England, that is so out of control. I've done a few videos on it. It is so out of control. I just have to go there someday with my my little self-balance and selfie stick and just show you. You look at it on a map. I can't believe how much is at like within 1 block in Cambridge, Massachusetts. To fight terrorism, his plan is extremely low-tech. instead of investing in expensive gadgetry, he suggests we hire spies to provide old-fashioned intelligence. I don't know about this. Wow. It would be one thing if the suitcase nuke was real. But if it's not real, then why are we trying to solve that problem? As to the nemesis of ours in Cuba, really? Really? The United States' biggest problem is Cuba? Really? As to that nemesis of ours in Cuba, his approach is novel. The first time Fidel Castro leaves Cuba and arrives in a country with which we have an extradition treaty, he proposes having him arrested for crimes against humanity. His income tax plan has broad appeal because it targets so few. He, going back up to the next column here, figures the United States could raise $5.7 trillion if it imposed a one-time 14.25% tax on individuals with a net worth over $10 million, a figure which does not include primary residencies. He also wants to simplify the tax system, calling the IRS a paramilitary organization. Well, some of this has changed now. It's been tariffs? Trump does not lack for self-confidence, so I don't know how much more of it I need to read. He talks about casinos, doublespeak, etc. What is amazing, though, is to Trump, the greatest threat to the well-being of the United States is terrorism. And if you cut out this next preposition here, what it really says is, to Trump, the greatest threat to the well-being of the United States is a suitcase nuke. This is January of 2000. Now, either suitcase nukes exist, and if they exist, I don't know how you would ever stop them. How could you stop it? If all you need to do is dig around and find enough uranium and enrich it, and then find a couple of secrets and get a soldering kit out to make a whole city disappear, how could anyone ever possibly stop that? It's sort of like saying the only way we can stop mankind, or humankind if you prefer, from ending is to be in control of every random genetic mutation that occurs on every planet, on every continent, in every forest, under every leaf, behind every tree, within every bat, ever. We have to track every protein on the planet to make sure a bad protein doesn't exist. If you believe this whole RNA pandemic or prion pandemic crap, that's what you are saying. We have to track every protein and make sure that one day one protein doesn't bend the wrong way and then start replicating endlessly. It's a stupid idea. It can't happen. It's a myth. Sort of like I believe suitcase nukes are myth. So if they can't be real, then why are we turning everything upside down to protect ourselves from them? And it's very disappointing to see here that Donald Trump is reiterating this. Now, if there is no such thing as a suitcase nuke, let's run through the intellectual exercise, okay? Even if you believe a suitcase nuke exists, okay? Roll along with this one, because I think going down the exercise may help you reconsider that. But let's go with it's an impossible technology. If it's an impossible technology, at some point we're going to need to be convinced, or people are going to need to be convinced that it is a real technology, right? You could show people a movie, but people will be like, it's just Hollywood. She's making up a movie, right? You could test a suitcase nuke by burying the suitcase in the ground out in Nevada somewhere and blowing it up, and then saying the bomb, the big explosion in the mushroom cloud was only from the suitcase nuke. But again, people are going to say, oh, you already had explosives in the ground. The only way you're ever going to get people to believe that the suitcase nuke is real is you're going to have a suitcase nuke detonate somewhere. And it's going to need to be somewhere where people go, there's no way that they actually put bombs there before the suitcase nuke went off. It's going to have to be in a city. It's going to have to be in a city. And in fact, it's going to have to be in a city like in a subway system or in a building. It's going to have to be in a building where somehow there's enough explosive material stacked up, all right, so that when the suitcase nuke goes off, people go, wow, that suitcase nuke was real, and it blew up the whole building. Well, how many buildings meet that criteria worldwide? How many? It's actually not a big list. You're going to need a building that allows you to, floor by floor, fill it up with explosive material before the suitcase nuke is meant to go off. How many buildings meet that? Now, maybe some newer buildings are expandable and have new conduit, etc., because they're forward-thinking. A building like the Empire State Building was not made forward-thinking. The Empire State Building has, most people don't realize, it's been almost fully reconstructed ever since it was made. It did allow some level of modularity, but it did not allow the level of expansion that, for example, the Twin Towers had. The Twin Towers were very unique. They were massive, and they were designed to be future-proofed so that they would have miles and miles and miles of unused conduit that could be accessed but from just a few floors. So, if suitcase nukes didn't exist, and if there was any building, any place in the world where one would use to stage an explosion and blame it on a suitcase nuke, the list is almost exclusively limited to the World Trade Center in New York City. It is what it is. You need to fly a plane into it, probably, because and get rid of your evidence after your crop dusting, after you drop your anthrax and smallpox in the crowds. So here we are, a New York real estate developer whose uncle was working at the MIT Radiation Lab, who's been involved in the United States nuclear weapons program. Donald Trump, who is potentially running for president and saying that that he identifies or agrees that the biggest threat to the United States is terrorism, and in particular the suitcase nuke. Now, he doesn't here say biological weapons. He's talking about the suitcase nuke, which is also something that Joe Biden said. Now, maybe Trump is just a naive sucker. Or this is evidence that, for the first time, I would have to say, evidence that's convincing enough to me that Donald Trump would have known about an upcoming terrorist event in 2001 or early 2002. I'm not saying that he was part of it. What I'm saying is he either was part of it or it was just so naive. And I can't believe he was naive enough to not see this. There is a famous video clip of Trump after the destruction of the Twin Towers. I think it was actually from September 12th. I could be mistaken. Where he was recorded looking at the demolition. And I guess the clip said, and this could be all staged, right? I realize that. But he said, wow, it looked like a bomb went off. I guess if he was already worried about suitcase nukes in 2001, that would explain it. He was already in this group, which was either paid to promote the idea that it could be a bomb, or he was, sadly just brainwashed by his family that this would a possibility. And whether or not he himself thought it was really a suitcase nuke or not, I don't know. I don't know what his uncle John Trump would have told him. John Travolta made the movie Broken Arrow. Tazik, are you serious? I know I've heard that phrase from somewhere. John Travolta, 1996, Broken Arrow. Now, you tie this in with the movie from Peter Curran, regarding Nuclear Rescue 911. Nuclear Rescue 911. Broken Arrows and Incidents. It's not that I'm saying it's a great movie. It's just these things are pretty amazing. Now, if you go to IMDb, if you look at the other movies that Peter Curran has directed, IMDb, and again, he was special effects, one of, anyways, the special effects people on Star Wars. So here's the movies he's directed. 1995, Trinity and Beyond, the atomic bomb movie. 1999, Atomic Journeys, Welcome to Ground Zero. Another future 9/11 reference. 1999, Nukes in Space. 1999, Atomic Filmmakers, Behind the Scenes. Wow, he is busy. 2001, middle of 2001, pre-9/11, Nuclear Rescue 911, Broken Arrows and Incidents. And in 2022, he just took a 21-year hiatus. Wow. And he finally came out with another movie called The Neutron Bomb, which looks like it's one of the lowest rated movies yet. During the Cold War, scientist Sam Cohen develops a controversial weapon designed to kill people while leaving structures intact. I don't know. Maybe I will also rip and share this one as well. So you can see they're available on Amazon Prime. These movies are being softly promoted, not heavily promoted. William Shatner was the narrator for the first one, the atomic bomb movie. I could not find any connections between Martin Sheen and Peter Curran. I've looked. Although, you know what? Peter Curran was used as the special effects expert for a Martin Sheen movie called, I think it was called Night Shadow or something like that, which is about, again, the U.S. Army and loose nukes, stolen nuclear weapons. So, Night Shadow or Night something or other. I get them all mixed up after a while. Night, blood, night, who knows. And I think I wanted to highlight, I didn't have a long episode. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. I'm quite surprised. I don't have words. I just don't have words. I can't believe I just keep bumping into this stuff. Really? Another just softball pitch. These are easy. We can hit home runs all day because no one else is willing to even consider the possibility that nuclear weapons are fake. It's such a taboo subject. There's more energy put into the possibility that someone that has been dead for 7 years right now and is a pedo island owner is still somehow controlling the world from the grave through all of his compromise operations. And that somehow Venetians and pyramids have something to do with who's ruling the world right now. Or then to even consider the possibility that there's just no nukes. I love it. I love how all of these conspiracy researchers go. It's great because the far-fetched things, there's like 20 possible combinations right now of things that happened with Charlie Kirk, and they involve so many different combinations of things. But if you throw out there, wow, maybe nukes are fake, people, they run away. Like, no, we won't even touch that one. Nuclear 911 talks extensively about STRATCOM, Strategic Command, Air Strategic Command. And STRATCOM is the United States Department of Defense, which has the most power and the most involvement when it comes to the maintenance of and the delivery of nuclear weapons. I don't know if STRATCOM is involved in protecting the United States or how they are involved in the detection of things like suitcase nukes coming into the United States. But STRATCOM plays a big role in the maintenance of our nuclear stockpile. And in some ways, Stratcom has an equivalent. Maybe not equivalent is the best way, but if there's one other United States government department that has the same level of clearance and potential political power as Stratcom, it's the United States Department of Energy. So the United States Department of Energy is the United States Department which, at least as of 2001, was controlling the Human Genome Project. I'm just throwing out these observations. I don't even have the questions clarified in my head yet. But I believe that we will see that there's reasons why Stratcom is involved at this point. Knowing the Human Genome Project was just announced to be completed, even though it really wasn't completed at all. It was kind of a superficial goal. I don't know. I don't have my thoughts sorted out clearly enough on this stuff. But these are going to be very powerful new ways of reviewing September 11th. I know it. And the role of Stratcom. You know, the idea that all of the U.S. military was somehow compromised by someone who had an insurance policy on Building 7 or something like that is hilarious. That is the wrong angle. I think that there's going to be a lot of fruit here, and this movie is exactly what I needed to highlight that, okay, so there is going to be a reason why Stratcom, Strategic Command, was involved. And it's not going to be because of oil rights. It's not going to be because of building insurance. It's not going to be because of religious affiliation. It is going to keep going back to that project of all projects, and taking over evolution of the human species somehow. I will clarify how I word that over time. But I wanted to review these movies. Also, I apologize. I was not able to get the movie that I purchased on Leni Riefenstahl scanned in just yet. It's a Blu-ray movie, and as I said yesterday in my shorter video yesterday, my old DVD player does not play Blu-rays, so I spent $100 on a Blu-ray player. Blu-ray player comes today, and the Blu-ray player will only send the signal out. You guys don't need to remember all this stuff. I'm just letting you know. Will only send out the signal for Blu-ray movies over the HDMI port and not the RCA component video port. It's probably something that they do to protect movie, copying or something like that. So I had to order another device today, an HDMI to RCA converter, and which will probably result in the video, of course, not being at 4K quality, but I don't care. I'm not here to preserve this in 4K quality. I'm here to get it in at least 480p and maybe post it for an hour on YouTube so I can get the transcription, and that's it. And allow other people to make video clips. As far as the studios that are supporting the Leni Riefenstahl video, if you look at the other videos that they have made available to us, they include RGB or RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Best of Enemies, MLK FBI, how the FBI assassinated Martin Luther King, something about the Unknown Known, which is probably a great big hit piece on Rumsfeld, and The Look of Silence. So you can kind of see where their political affiliation lies. Interesting. So that's going to take another couple of days. All right, and I think I'm going to be moving on. What's the DRM is digital? I don't know what the DRM is. It's I'm working on these ones though. Fletch. You'll get it uploaded tomorrow, and not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. If the converters come on Monday, I'll be able to do it Monday evening and then get it posted Monday evening. And maybe we can do a group watching of Riefenstahl a week before it comes out on iTunes. I think that would be pretty cool. Oh yeah, digital rights management. Nobody will sue me because it'll give me visibility. It's the last thing. That's the last thing that will ever happen. It's a weird spot to be in. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being positive. Thank you for being supportive. And maybe we'll do another video later on. Maybe not. Love you much. Take care. Stay positive. God bless. And a prayer of thanks to the family that adopted my old car, my old Betsy. I feel I could be crying right now, just feeling like a victim or whatever, but she found a really good family. Feel really good that they're going to give this car a lot of love, and I might even get to see it again someday driving. So it seems silly. I know it's just a car, but it was an important thing to me. So I feel good about that, even though I saw it being carted away today. I'm thankful. I'm thankful I found a good family there, and that's good. All right, guys, that's enough. Take care. God bless.